Om Shanti and welcome back to Light of Knowledge. We have Brother Michael back with us in our Godlywood studio, and we will continue our discussion with him about victimization and ownership and the inner journey that transits us from being a victim to taking ownership. Brother Michael, welcome back to Godlywood studio and Light of Knowledge.
Okay, thanks. It's my pleasure.
Taking up where we left off in our previous episode, I was wondering if we can talk about some specific scenarios. For example, we see more and more nuclear families these days, and single parents, children growing up in single parent families. It's a possibility that the child grows up feeling like he or she is the victim of the system where, the parent has either left them or they've been divorced. So how does this play on the life of a child as he's growing up?
We see in the last episode, that the importance of the care, not just of the mom, but the mom and the dad, So, because both aspects are necessary, for the development of the upbringing of the child, because, the mom, you can say, has the aspect of love, but the father, has the aspect of the authority, and we speak about right and wrong. And when you have the example of the authority in front of you, that you can know what is right and what is wrong. That's the authority which is telling you that,
Okay.
So the thing when you have nuclear family, obviously, usually people are not used to play the part of the mom and the dad in the same times.
Right.
The soul has that ability, and we should be able to move from one feminine side of love and gentleness and caring to the masculine side of authority and determination and courage, and assertiveness.
That's a very important point that you have made, which I'm sure the viewers caught on to that. As a person, if we are connected to the physical body, we will not be able to play the role of the father and the mother. But if we look at ourselves as a soul, we can play both the parts. Is that the point you're trying to make?
What is true is when I consider myself connected with my body, a woman or man, so naturally my way of thinking and my consciousness will say, as a woman, I should behave as a woman, and usually it's interesting, women looks like for their feminine side, and obviously men are looking for their masculine side, So because otherwise in society, in this body conscious society, if for example you are a man and you have an expression a bit too much feminine, which is not about, like feminisms, which can be manners,
Right.
which is different
Right.
as well. And that is why when you are body consciousness, you don't make the difference in between manners of being feminine and being a value of female,
Okay.
So that also, people don't have that clarity and discerning power to discern about these two aspects.
Okay.
And obviously, as a man, I don't want looks like a female which has manners, because people will say, "What's this type of person?" So obviously, by lack of knowledge, by wanting to play the proper part of the male or the female, then I will express the quality connected with that, And obviously, then I'm just, I will say, in the bondage of the attitude, the role connected with the body in which I am. Yes, and that is the beauty of spirituality. Spirituality makes you free from the world of matter. You can really go inside yourself and recognize the situation, and according to the situation, you can express the part and the value which is needed in that situation, So really, it's a real freedom to know yourself and to be on the spiritual journey of life. When a child has only a mom and he gets only the love and the caring, okay, it's fine. But he will have only one angle, which means I have to be sweet and gentle. So he doesn't have the full perspective of life.
Right.
Is sometimes I have to be strong. I have
Right.
to face.
Right.
I have to really express my point of view
Right.
without having authoritarianisms, and that is why maybe someone which didn't have the authority of the father can move very easily from authoritarianism to depression.
Okay.
But it doesn't have a proper middle way.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But if you have the both side, you can have authority and humility,
Right.
which is, and sometimes, it's interesting because in our French language and English language, we have the words humility and humiliation. And in some language, you don't have that two words. You have the
Okay.
same word to describe the same attitude.
Very interesting.
You see
Yeah.
how much, and so when you think it's both of it, it's obviously it doesn't work at all, because then people will say, I will never be humble. But humility is the open door for you to learn, to be easy with yourself, with the situation, not to fight, not to react, to tolerate, and to find the proper answer. So it's and if you think that is the way to be to have humiliation,
Right.
then you will never have the proper answer.
Right. In this situation we are talking about, the child can believe that he or she is responsible for the breakup of the parents. That can also create that feeling of victim. Or they may feel that my mom has been a victim. So in either case, there's going to be a lot of rage and anger as a child is growing up. And that's obviously, not going to be a very good scenario.
Well, I guess, if the child thinks that I'm the responsible for the divorce of my father, it will create more the feeling of guiltiness, and obviously you feel that that guiltiness, it means you have constant negative thought about yourself, I did wrong because of me, so is more than victimization is guiltiness, and but obviously more and more, more you go into the field of guiltiness, because guiltiness has a point of like affirmation of yourself in some way. Victimization, you disappear. But more and more you feel guilty, you destroy yourself. And as much you have destroyed yourself, then you become a victim.
Right.
So, but you have to go through the way of becoming guilty, the path of being the guilty one to reach the victimization.
Okay. That's very interesting psychology. And
but it's a full destruction of the person, by
Right.
yourself,
Right. I have read that criminals have been a victim of the society in some way or the other. And they do the criminal acts to maybe justify, what they have gone through. So how does that play out in the life of an individual?
Well, the thing is, as you speak, my thought is coming that we don't live in a perfect world. We don't have a perfect society. We are not perfect.
Right.
So, when you have imperfection from both sides, you can expect from time to time some clash and some obviously lack of understanding and comprehension from both sides. And as it is increasing, and as you don't take in charge of yourself, or as you don't find another way, and you keep on clashing because of that, at some point you may reach the point where instead of being clashed by the society, let me clash the society, And obviously this person will find a good reason, because society has been clashing me so much. Why should I not clash society?
Yeah.
So the thing is, it can never be an act without a reason behind it, good or bad reason.
Yes.
But there is always a reason.
There's
behind
always a reason. Right.
So obviously, a person which feels so bad, so negative, so feel the injustice of life and society, it's clear. More you think about something, at some point you will lose the control, and you will act into the action of it, of your thinking. So, and that is what spirituality is teaching us. As soon as you understand you have a wrong thought, please stop it. Stop it straight away. Because you never know this wrong thought where it will bring you.
Okay.
It's always easy to stop one wrong thought. That's not a big deal. But to stop 1,000 thoughts is a bigger deal. to stop one action is too late.
Very well said. Very true. Yeah. Because the thought is responsible for the action. Yeah.
You cannot have an action if you don't have a thought behind it. And behind the thought, you have some reason and intention and awareness of something, you know.
Right.
So it's a cycle. In fact, you can, you know, you can never say what start first. You know, one day I give a lecture in Mexico, and I say, you know, why do we think? Usually we think because there is situation, and situation is because there is history. So the question is, do we think because there is a history, or is because we are thinking that you are creating history?
Okay.
But both in the same times. To exist in the same times to make life a reality.
Okay.
So society is based on the thought and is based on the history, but both together in the same time.
Very
And that
interesting.
is explaining eternity.
Very well said. Oh, that's really interesting. You know, I was also thinking about abuse in a family, be it a child being abused by someone or the wife being abused by her husband. In the case of a child, it's different because the child is not able to move away from the family. But in the case of a woman, if she's being abused by her husband, there are times when she will still continue to live in that scenario. She will not stand up for herself, or she will not walk away from that situation. What can we tell women out there? Do they need to assert themselves at some point? Or what is it that they should do to not be the victim?
Yeah. The thing is, you know, we live in such a society that, okay, no, it's changing, obviously, but we live in such a society where if I become the wife of my husband, it means I will play the part of the wife, which means the dependency, not working, doing everything at home, you know, the cleaning, the cooking, the shopping, making children, taking care of the children, so, and not having social life, you know, and all my life, in fact, is my husband and my home. So when you reach a point where your life has become that way, you are totally dependent on your husband. The thing is, the danger is, what is the type of husband you have? If you have a good husband, he will say, good, I have a good wife, let me take care of my good wife. If you have a husband which has, you know, some dysfunctioning way of thinking, he will say, well, it's an opportunity to manipulate, to dominating, to get everything which I want from my wife. No, I have something in my disposition, you know. It's no more my wife, it's something in my disposition, you know, for need and desires and obtaining and getting whatever it is, you know. And obviously, and the thing is, because I'm playing the part of the good wife, so I'm not aware of it, that no, my husband is playing a new part, not playing the part of the good husband, but the part of the manipulating husband. So because I'm not recognizing, I'm still playing the good part and satisfying the need and desire which are wrong for my husband, you know. And it's only when it's getting too late, which, what does mean it's getting too late? When the wife cannot accept anymore the situation, but when the habit has been creating in the family and the husband are taking so much advantage, and because it's an habit, he doesn't want to change the situation. So then now you reach a point where the clash will come.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But the thing is, the wife has no social life, no independency, no money, no job, no connection outside. She's obliged to stay at home, and she, in some way, she defends herself. She accepts sometimes, but you know, accept and defend doesn't work. Either you accept and you satisfy the desires and it's still okay, but you destroy yourself. Either you accept and defend, either it will not be suitable for the husband, which will start to clash with you. So at some point, and you cannot move away from that. So at some point, you know, you the husband will destroy the wife.
Right, right. Do you have any real life examples in all these years that you've been with Brahma Kumaris, and you know, you've been a teacher, a spiritual teacher? Do you have any real life examples where maybe somebody walked in the center and, confided in you, and maybe you were able to bring them out of the situation?
Well, I don't have not really something precisely like that, but you can say whoever has a trouble, because it's whenever you have a trouble, I say, there is a saying which I love very much. I say that if you take your time, focus on the problem, to understand properly the problems, then you will find easily the solution.
Okay.
So usually why we don't find a solution to the problems? Because I say, I have a problem, I'm disturbed by the problem, I have fear about the problem, I'm unstable in the problem, so I have a problem. So to say I have a problem doesn't allow you to understand the problem. The thing, you have to move away mentally, towards the problem, and to face and have the courage to say, this is the problem, it's like that, and start to describe the problem in a neutral way, as it is. Don't try to change, the reality of the problems, whatever. So see as it is, and then for me, I speak from my personal life, because I'm not perfect, I make some mistake, and when you make some mistake, you get a problem, obviously. So you watch the problem, and as you see clearly all aspects of the problem, then you say, yes, I can, because to find the solution, it means you may have the thought of a new attitude.
Okay.
But you can have the thought to have a new attitude when you have the courage to see exactly what is the problem. Because when you see everything, all the details of the problem, allow you to have the new thought for the solution.
Okay, so we have to detach ourselves from the situation, and then we can get the solution.
Yeah, so there is a process so you have to detach, first of all, and in that detachment, first you have to forget the problem. And secondly, you have to go connected with your inner strength, your inner value, your inner self-respect, where you reach a place of peace, comfort, security, stability, inner strength, and self-confidence before to watch the problem. Because obviously, when you are in the problem, you are nervous, you are irritated, you are unstable, you have fear. So all this attitude, when you start to think based on being emotional, you will never find the right solution.
Right.
So you have to reach the point where you have no more emotion about the problems.
Okay.
And to have no more emotion about the problems, you have to disconnect, forget, go within your inner strength. And when you feel secure, then I say, okay, I can open the curtain again and see the problem again.
Yes.
And describe what it is, in fact.
Yes.
And because the problem is not me,
Right.
it's something outside,
Right. I like that. No emotional connection, go within, and then open the curtain.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a drama. Then you watch that, and it's like you're
The spectator.
You're a spectator, and you're just watching. Very nicely said. I was wondering, what role does meditation, because you talked about inner strength, going within, if we want to transit from being a victim to taking ownership. We briefly touched upon this in our previous episode, but what would you recommend that a person does in order to come out of this victim feeling?
Yeah, as you speak about the word meditation, we should, demystify this word meditation,
Okay.
Meditation is just, let's say, the art of thinking good, right? Thinking according to the characteristic of the self.
Okay.
I have the essence-full for me, which I find for myself, the essence-full definition of meditation is think according to who you are, a soul. And then, which means the characteristic of the soul, the proper attitude of the soul. As you think along the characteristic of the soul, you are meditating.
Okay.
So if I'm thinking in a peaceful way, based on peace, to find a peaceful solution, I am a meditator. If I'm thinking based on love, to or to move from hatred to love, I'm a meditator.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that I will not think about hatred. I'm thinking about hatred to move away from hatred to reach the point of love.
Very nice.
When I have the intention of love, so it's in my thinking about why I am hatred, I'm meditating.
Okay.
But
Okay.
obviously, if I think about hatred, I have hatred because this one is not right. I'm not. I'm the opposite of meditation. Obviously,
Right. I like that definition of meditation where it's almost, it sounds like it's one step at a time. I mean, you look at the problem you have and you go to the opposite, which is the positive end of it. And that itself is meditation. And meditation is like where you sit in a certain posture and, you focus on something, which definitely plays a big role in our life and has a place of its own. But to me, it also sounds like if you deal with all the problems that you have on a specific level, like say, for example, we talked about hate and love. If I have a lot of hate in my heart, and if I focus on love, so I transit from hate to love, that itself can also be considered as meditation.
Yeah, I mean, you see, why do we meditate? If you find the reason for meditation, you will know what is meditation.
Okay. So,
for example, why I'm meditating? Because I want to have a good life. I want to have friend and not enemy. So let me understand why people, come to me with for troubling me, for harassing me, for not loving me, for not respecting me. So let me acknowledge that and see what I can change in my own attitude, so that at some point people will change their attitude,
Okay.
Because, as we know, if I change, I give a chance to the other to change,
Right.
So to think that way, if I think that meditation is to have a better quality of life at all level of life, because I'm a living conscious being, and yes, I can go back home and sit, and I'm a being of peace, and I'm peaceful soul, and I get peace, fine, God, yes, I got it. But then as soon as I open my door, my peace vanished, So yes, what is important is to create the peace, the stability in meditation for yourself, but you have to take as well in consideration the context in which you are connected in every day of life, or to deal with that context so that as you express yourself in the proper way in this context, the context will adjust itself to you, So thinking that way is meditation.
You talked about the context, and that is a very interesting concept because it does happen where you have been meditating and you come out of meditation and you see a scenario which has always bothered you, and you just snap at the other person or you just get angry. Is that what you mean by the context?
Well, it can be that, but it's a very specific subject. But anyway, in short, is I will say create your context. Which means you have a role, you have a part, you have a talent. Try to develop more and more your life and your role, so that the context is connected with your role, so you can manage easily the context. Otherwise, if you deal with life, you go into life, you spread yourself in all the situations of life, I don't think that you will manage those contexts, which at that time is circumstance and not context for me.
With these words, Brother Michael, thank you so much for sharing all your thoughts with us, and it has been wonderful. So we look forward to having you back with us in our Godlywood studio again.
Okay, it's my pleasure, and I have a pleasure to be with you and to converse with you and this interesting topic. So yes, thanks.
Thank you. Om Shanti. Brother Michael has given us some valuable suggestions on how we can move away from being a victim to ownership. It's important for us to detach from the problem, go within, and look at it as a drama. And that's the only way to find the solution. I hope you found this episode very helpful. And if you have any problems, questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to write to us, and we will definitely get back to you. Thanks for watching. Om Shanti.